what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the difference between an unsecured credit card and a secured credit card. Some of this is going to be very basic, but I want to make sure you guys know exactly what the difference is, and then I'm going to share with you how to get higher limit unsecured credit cards and why I think that a secured credit card is essentially 2010. 2010. Meaning, if you really think about a secured credit card and the purposes of a secured credit card, what does it really accomplish? We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, if it is your first time on the channel, my name is Mike with the Credit Game. I'm with you multiple times a day. I'm the only channel that does it every single day about credit, talking about credit, raising your credit. And my goal is to raise the national credit average, not just raise Johnny's credit score. Okay, so I have a mission in 2021 to take the entire country's average credit score up at 667. I'll make it over 700 by the end of 2021. That's my goal, by spreading the word of the credit game and spreading it to the point to where you can share it with your family, friends, coworkers, clients, and so forth. And at the end of the day, everybody, it is a win-win. First time on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. That means a lot to us. We grew the fastest credit channel in national history because of all you guys. Okay, I can't say enough to say thank you for everything, for all your likes, all your comments. Leave me a comment. Right? Leave me something. Say something, right? Leave me a comment, hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds to do that thing, and that's how I'm able to put my videos out every single day. I don't do paid traffic on my videos. You don't have to hit the skip button 9,000 times while other videos are coming up, so I don't do ads. I want to make sure that the videos are clean, most up-to-date, and also most relevant to what's going on in the credit world. So thank you guys for all your support and being subscribers to our channel. Now, we have people asking us for basic information, right? So again, as some of this is a little bit elementary, and I teach you all this in my program, let's talk about a secured credit card. Now, a secured credit card basically for people that are under a 590 credit score, okay? So if you're under a 590 credit score, generally, most people were taught to get a secured credit card so you can build credit. So let's say you have a thin file, okay? You don't have a whole lot of credit. Maybe you have, maybe you've never had credit. Maybe you have limited credit. Maybe you had a lot of negatives that got removed, and now you're like, I don't have any positives. Okay, so I'm going to share with you really what a secured credit card is and the benefits of it, and then also show you the power of unsecured and really why I think I'm going to lean towards that side, not by a small margin, but by a big hell yeah. Okay, so secured credit card basically means this. Let's say you went to Capital One. Let's say you went to Discover IT. They have one. Let's say you went to Wells Fargo, whatever bank, okay? You're going to say, hey, I'm going to put up X amount. And usually secured credit cards are 200, 300, 500. You can put more, but generally people between 200, 300 to 500 will put the money into the bank. And the bank will say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a loan based on your collateral. Your collateral is the money you put up. So essentially, you're putting money up, and they're giving you a loan based on the money you put up. So it's your money, and for the purposes of building credit, making payments on time, they will report to the credit bureaus, okay? That's a secured credit card. An unsecured credit card is where it says, look, Mr. Jones, your credit is good enough to where we trust you as a borrower to give you money, okay? That would be an unsecured. So in other words, they are giving you the 200, 300, 400, 500, all the way up to 50,000, all the way up to 100,000 if you're talking about Amex. They will give you that money because your credit score is good enough. They trust that you're going to pay it back. When you're lower than 590, they say, hey, we don't want to give you an unsecured credit card. We want it to be secured with your own money. So that's the main differences between unsecured and secured. Okay, now, we have been taught this, including myself. It's been drilled in my head since I was 18 years old. After you get, maybe you get a credit card, right? You want to start building credit. Go get yourself a secured credit card, make 12 payments on time, and then what will happen after a year is they will take the secured card, since you were good with your own money, making payments back, you show that you are reliable and responsible with your own money, then they will say, hey, you've made 12 payments on time, Mr. Jones, and I really appreciate that. What we're going to do is we're going to take your $300 that was secured, and we are going to convert that to an unsecured. So now you get your $300 back, and then they give you a card with $300 of the bank's money, not your money anymore. So you get your money back. And that's 12 months later, and you've just built 12 months of perfect payment history. Hopefully you made all those payments on time, or you will not go to unsecured. Now, my question is this, okay? And I can share with you a few banks that you guys can get credit cards with on lower scores. But my question would be this, and the reason why I say this is 2010 material is because when you learn how to play the credit game, okay, which is what I built for myself, you learn that the secured credit card is not really a necessity. Let me say it again. The secured credit card is not really a necessity if you know how to play the credit game. Because right now, what you're thinking is, okay, cool, if I get a secured credit card, I can make some payments on it, and then I'll be unsecured. Well, it's a big waste of time. Let me give you an example of what you need to do, okay? Now, if you had a 795 credit score, would you go to a secured credit card? Or would you try to apply for an unsecured credit card? If you had a 600 credit score, would you go secured or unsecured? The reason people go with secured is because they don't believe that they will get approved for unsecured. So I'm going to share with you what you need to do so that way you don't have to go the old school, the 2010 method. There's a new school way of doing this. Okay, so the first thing you have to understand is the psychology behind why you would get a secured. You got a secured because you got negatives on your credit report or you got late payments. And that's really the only thing that you feel like you can get. Let's be real. If you've got negatives on your credit report, or you've got late payments, or you've got child support, or you've got a bankruptcy or foreclosure or judgment or repossession or charge off, you're probably like, I'm not going to be able to get an unsecured credit card, Mike. I don't think I can get that, so I'm going to start with secured. That's wrong. It's wrong. Absolutely wrong. There's a fix to this. So what I would do is the first thing you need to do is pull up your credit report. I don't care if it's Credit Karma. I don't particularly like Credit Karma because it's only a 2-bureau credit report and it's Vantage and it's slightly inflated, okay? But it does the job. It's free. So I'd pull my credit report and I would be looking at things. Guys, I got so many gems for you guys. I would be looking at things that are inaccurate, obsolete, unfair, unduly incorrect on your credit report. Remember, 77% of credit reports are inaccurate. So I'm going to be looking for the things that are inaccurate to challenge those information on your credit report so they can be removed. You want higher limit unsecured credit cards. Now, in order to get an unsecured credit card, you need to know where to look, right? So, Advent, okay, they have a credit card anywhere between $500 and $700 unsecured, and really you only need a 590 credit score plus. Okay, so that's one that you can get that's unsecured. But again, it goes back to the question. Maybe put in comments for me. Why do you want a secured credit card when you can do this? What if you knew this trick? What if you knew that your negatives on your credit report, 75% or more of those could be removed, A. And 2, if you knew what trade lines, and I'm talking about authorized user trade lines, okay? Remember I said 2010, the old school way of getting a secured card and building it up, waiting 12 months for them to finally unsecured if you make perfect payment history over 12 months? Why is that old school? Because what you can do now, today, is you can challenge the inaccuracies on your credit report, remove them if you know what you're doing, remove them very fast. Okay, I'm going to share with you in a minute about this Lambo package. And then on top of that, you would have to know what trade lines, authorized user trade lines, you're going to piggyback off of somebody else's credit, so you don't have to wait the 12 months. You can actually take on the history and the credit limit of somebody else that has great credit. That's called a authorized user trade line. If you know exactly what trade lines, now don't tell me I know what trade lines to put on. Let me tell you something, I've been doing this a very long time. I've got people that call me all the time. I just want a trade line, Mike. Well, first of all, you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to be very clear. If you tell me I just want a trade line, Okay, I don't need all the course, I don't need the education. Well, I mean, you're just blowing smoke, because really at the end of the day, you're just telling me, look, I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm doing, because you don't know what trade line to put on. Okay. Well, what's your credit score? I'm at a 534. I'm trying to add trade line. You're an idiot. Why would you add a trade line if you have a 534 credit score? Because you don't know what you're doing. And so if this sounds right now like it's like harsh, and sometimes the truth hurts, guys. You guys are talking about adding a trade line with a 534 credit score and have no idea why. I'm like, what are you going to add? You're like, I don't know, maybe some kind of Synchrony Lowe's credit card. It's got, 5K limit on it and maybe 6 months of history. Yeah, because that's going to do a lot. It's going to push down the other 13 negatives so much with a store credit card that you'll be able to go out. I'm sure you'll be able to get $50,000, $60,000 from Bank of America. I'm sure of that. I'm sure you'll be able to apply for the Navy Federal credit card and get the 25K if you do that. You don't know what you're doing, right? So you pretend like you know what you're doing, and all you're going to do is waste your money. It is going to be a waste of money if you don't know the credit game. This is why I built it, guys. I built the credit game for me. I built it literally for me. When I was a 515 and basically documented every step of the way, every video and every word that's in the credit game was built for me. Today I'm an 829 credit score. I built it for me, and the world just happens to see it today. If you want to see it, it has every trick, strategy, tip to get you above 800 credit score. It has everything you need to be successful, for you to be able to get the lowest interest rates, for you to be able to get the highest limit credit cards, what trade lines to put on, how many should you put on, what bank should you use, what progression should you use, how many lines should actually be added. Should it be added at the same time or simultaneously, or should they be added one after the other? How long do trade lines stay on for? Okay, do I need to do a hard pull? Should I change the address? These are things you need to know. What is it? Is it age more important, or is credit limit more important? Right? So now that we have a basis inside the credit game where I teach you all that, now you have to understand, why wouldn't I put on a trade line? Well, because you got negatives. And basically, you'd have to put on a massive amount of trade lines to push down the fat of the negatives. Right? It's like a fat kid trying to take steroids. He's 350 pounds, and he's like, I want to do a shot of steroids. It's not going to work, dude. So I want you to think about what you need to do. You need to trim the fat first, okay? Trim the fat first, then take the cycle of steroids. That's called trimming the negatives first, then taking the steroids, which are the trade lines. If you've got negatives, collections, charge-off, bankruptcy, foreclosure, student loans, repos, all this, or any of that, or very high inquiries, and I mean over 10 on each bureau, you need help. You need to know what you're doing. So let me tell you about the Lambo package, and I'm going to share with you what the Maserati and the Lambo package do, okay? So my vendor has software and has what they call Swift codes. What they can do is they can actually go into your credit report and essentially challenge the validity of the inaccurate information. And it's done not by letters. So the letter format, again, is the old school way where you send a letter into the credit bureaus and you say, hey, please remove this information, it's not mine. Okay, and use a cookie cutter letter that you got off the line. What happens is that is basically a generalized letter that everybody in the world uses, so it's a cookie cutter, and when you send a letter, you get a code. Okay, well, your letters are turned into a code from 28 to 86. The higher the number, the more respective the dispute is, meaning that the better chances of it coming off. That's the letter format. Okay, now, when you're talking about software, when you're talking about Swift codes, when you're talking about eliminating things digitally because you have proprietary software, it is a different ball game. It's literally going in, removed. The Maserati package, aka Associates package, is going to get you results in under 90 days. Okay? Now, I always want to be clear for the educational purposes only that you have the legal right to challenge anything that is on your credit report yourself. Just like you have the legal right to pull your tooth out when you have a toothache. Just like you have the legal right to go ahead and put a stent in your heart when you have a heart attack. But also, you'd have to want to ask yourself, why would I want to do that? Shouldn't I have a professional helping me put a stent in my heart? Right? When you need a crown and you have a huge toothache, right, or you got an earache so bad, or you get your hand cut off, you don't try to sew it back up yourself. Why? You go to a surgeon. because they know what they're doing. It's the same thing with credit card, guys. When you're inside and inundated every day with it, and you have a vendor that's the best in the world, in my opinion, best in the world. There is nothing faster. But also, there is also the Lambo package, which is the new one. And let me tell you something. People are getting results in 7 days. If you have something coming up, you have a, literally, look, man, I want to get a new car, man. I got the itch to get a new car. I got the itch to get into a new apartment. I got the itch, man, because I want some damn high limit credit card. I'm trying to get a loan for my business. I'm trying to expand. I'm looking to finance a few things. I'm looking to better my life for my family because I know it's my duty and obligation, responsibility as a human being to have great credit, to have that 3-digit number above 800. If that is you, there is 2 options. You can have results in 7 days on TransUnion through the Lambo package and 45-day results or less on everything else. Or you can go with the other option, which is the 90-day results. Okay? Either way, it's software. Just one software works faster than the other. Okay? So that's my vendor that's inside the program, and you guys will have access to that. Now, here's the deal. You'll also have access to, when I talked about the trade lines, you guys will need to know what trade lines to put on. And you need the credit game because 2 things happen when you get inside the credit game. 1, you get 75% off of trade lines. Not 7.5, not 10%, not 20%, not 25%, not 40%, and not 50. I said 75% off age trade lines. And believe me, if you got a couple negatives and you want to push down some of the fat, wouldn't it be better to have 75% off of trade lines versus paying retail price? You get that in my associates program as well. So you have 2 vendors, fastest credit repair on the planet, which has the Maserati package and the Lambo package, but also inside there, you have another vendor that says, hey, you know what? I work with the credit game and I'm willing to give you 75% off of age trade lines. We send them enough business that they have worked directly with the credit game to help us, to help you guys change your life, which is why I told you in the beginning, the national credit average is going to change because the credit game is literally going to be the conduit to changing this entire nation's credit score. You want high limit credit cards, you have to know what trade lines to put on, how much age, what is the criteria. I teach you all this, guys. What is the age of the trade lines you should have? You're not going to get a high limit unsecured credit card. You can't go get a $15,000 to $30,000 unsecured credit card if you don't know what's supposed to be on your credit report before you apply. In fact, you don't know actually what banks to go to. What do I teach you? I teach you what banks to go to. I teach you what credit bureaus the card pull from, the score needed to get the credit card. I teach you what trade line should be on there, what banks, what are A1 banks, what does the progression need to be to have the best opportunity for you to get high limit credit cards. So, that's what I'm telling you guys. I want you to get high limit credit cards, but you got to know what you're doing. And you can shoot in the wind and get a bunch of inquiries, and you can shoot in the wind and try to do this with a bunch of negatives on your credit report. But you're going to end up with what a client called me yesterday and said, I have 237 inquiries on my credit report. I said, that's the most I said, there's one thing I can tell you, man. Your parents did a really good job. Because I guarantee they told you never be a quitter. Because you are not a quitter, my friend. 237. Dude, you didn't stop at 40. You went to 2. You said, you know what? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going because Dad said never be a quitter. And I ain't going to be a quitter. That's going to hold you back, guys. There's an internal flag that comes on at about 20 inquiries, okay? Anything after that, it's going to be what they call a denial because they're seeing there's too many inquiries on there. And that means you're searching for credit, and then banks basically see that as a red flag, and they say, no, we're not doing it. I'm going to share with you what banks to get the highest limit credit cards. I want you to get the fastest results humanly possible, but also remember, you can do this yourself. If you want to go fix your roof, hammer shingles, and try to figure out how to lay it, great, do it. If you want to pull your own teeth out, great, do it. You want to do your own surgery on your heart, great, do it. You can do all this yourself. Choice is yours. But I'm going to tell you something. The average person takes 18 to 24 months to start getting results to where they can actually do it themselves and feel comfortable. Whereas the vendor who does this day in and day out and has software, you're talking about under 3 months, not under 90 days. Or if you go with the Lambo package, you're talking about a month and a half and 7-day results on TransUnion. I mean, it's unparalleled. Okay? So I want to share with you that to educate you guys to know what trade lines to put on. I want to help you with that. You got to know what negatives, but the main point here is this. Stop going with the secured credit cards. To be honest with you, that's 2010 and it's old school. And if you learn the credit game, which I teach you inside, that's why when you guys call and say, I don't need the education, I just want the credit bureau. It's stupid. You're dumb. It's dumb. And you're saying dumb shit. I just want the credit. No, you don't. You don't need just the credit repair, man. You need the education behind the credit repair. I can get anybody to an 800 credit score. I can get you to an 800 credit score very fast. The problem is you don't know how to leverage it, maintain it. You don't know what you do, what you get there. You don't know how many places you should apply. You don't know what credit cards to put on. You don't know how many credit cards, how many applications you should do, what to put on the application. Okay? What if you knew a trick where I could show you how to get 10 American Express credit cards with one inquiry? What if I told you a trick on getting into public record so you can start getting your pre-approvals, and when you apply for your credit cards through the pre-approval, it won't cost you an inquiry? There was a story about a kid who was 23 years old and he had $2 million worth of credit lines and he was only 23 years old. He said, how did he do? Well, he knows how to play the credit game. His name is Steven. And Steven knew how to play the credit game to use the pre-approvals and also know how to eliminate inquiries off a credit report. You see, what if you knew how to remove inquiries in 24 days? Excuse me, 24 hours. What if you knew how to remove inquiries in 24 hours? How valuable would that be? Essentially, the inquiry don't need to be there. You can remove the inquiry and then go out and fund again. Right? I'm just saying, for educational purposes only, could it be done? Absolutely. But if you remove the inquiries, get a bunch of credit cards, remove the inquiries, get a couple more credit cards. The inquiries are what's stopping you from getting more credit cards because they put a flag on your account once you get to a certain amount. And it looks like you're searching for credit. I teach you all this, guys. This is my associate's program. And you have a couple choices. You can live with the 500 credit scores, live in a bad area, drive a beater, never buy that first house, maybe never start your business. Or you can do the other percent, the 1%. You know what the 1% do? They do what they want, when they want, and how they want. And they go for as long as they want. Why? Because they know the credit game. Let me teach you the credit game. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Anybody that calls in right now, I'm gonna personally walk out to the floor. Okay, here's what I wanna do for you guys. I'm gonna help you get into the right package, okay? I'm gonna help you get into the right package. I'm gonna indicate, okay, cool, you should be in the Maserati package, or you should be in the Lambo package. Be prepared to call to invest. Don't just call to, I wanna call to kick tires. There's an investment to change your life, okay? You can't get a bottle of water for free, so don't call me up and say, hey, is it free? But you shouldn't be worried about money. What you should be worried about, how much it's costing you not to do this. Because what if you invested and then you were able to go out and get multiple credit cards or a loan, and I can show you how to do that so you can 10x the money easily, what you just put in, right? So instead of you guys thinking about, oh, am I gonna pay? Well, yeah, of course you gotta pay. When you go to open heart surgery, do you have to pay? I mean, it's a dumb question, right? So let me help you get into the right package that's right for you, because I don't want you to overpay for something you don't need. I'm an ethical person. I want you to make sure you get in the right one to help you. And I'm going to be out there to help you guys. So when you call in and say, hey, I just watched Mike's video on the Maserati and the Lambo. Let's figure out a good game plan of which one you need to be on and get into the credit game. Take one step and put it in front of the other and go, you know what? Because I promise you this. We've got over 500 right now, 5-star reviews. There's a lot of 4-star reviews down. It works, guys. Stop thinking about money and think about how much it's costing you not to do it. Remember, once you get to an 800 credit score, you're worth $150,000. And, like I said earlier, it's your duty and responsibility as an adult to provide for your family. You can't do that when you don't have any money and you don't have good credit. So call me if you're serious about actually changing your life, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed. My name's Mike for the Credit Game. I'll talk to you guys in a few minutes. First 5 callers, I'm going to give a huge discount for you guys as well. Call right now, 904-420-7772. Call me now. I'm going to walk out there. Let's roll.